Hey guys, we're back with the Cloud Chat on another episode of the podcast, and I'm sorry it took so long, but we're finally back here. And we have some very interesting topics to go over today. It's basically a bunch of stuff that happened over the last 2 weeks, and also some other stuff that we can really get in depth and discuss. We also have Chamath here. Chamath?
Hi guys, welcome back. So yeah, as Damien said, we had a small break, you can say it, and yeah, and so yeah, let's get into it, right? Um,
Exactly. So,
so
just an FYI, some of these articles might be a bit old, but we just found them kind of interesting, which is why, and we just thought that we can maybe have a bit of a discussion on them, which is
yeah,
why we selected them. So, without further ado, I think the biggest update that we have today is regarding AWS, and it's basically an announcement from AWS that they would be launching a new region in New Zealand, in addition to Australia, India, Indonesia, Israel, Spain, Switzerland, and the United Arab Emirates. So I think this is great news for a bunch of reasons. Chamath, what do you think?
yeah, exactly. So I mean, always getting more regions in AWS, it's always a good thing. So I think uh, getting a new like an entire region, it's a really like I mean it's a huge thing for the ecosystem. So many users might come and then sort of more edge location for caching. So it's again going for the global infrastructure. So this is going to be, I think, massive again. So yeah, let's go into some specs, Damien. I think in the article they had some interesting specs which they have defined the current regions they have. Um,
Yeah.
so I think yeah, so they have okay, they have mentioned there are 81 available zones within 25 AWS regions in operation today, with
Mm-hmm.
20 more availability zones and 8 announced regions, including this one, are underway. So that's a huge thing, right? So basically, they
That
have
is really
81,
good. Yes.
yeah, they have 81 ACs and then 25 regions, and they are increasing
So that
24
means
more.
they'll have more than 100 availability zones, and
Yeah,
more than 30, more than
yeah, I think it's
35.
around, yeah, nearly 50 maybe. Like they had mentioned 24 more on the way. So I think
So
they are
no,
building other as
it's
well.
81 availability zones plus
Yeah, yeah,
24. That'll be like
25.
100 and something,
Oh
and
yeah,
there are
yeah, yeah. Sorry,
25 AWS regions plus another
this
8
one.
regions. Yeah, so
Yeah,
that'll be
yeah,
like 83. Sorry, 30,
correct.
33. Sorry,
I also get confused. Yeah, so
33
this is
regions.
planned to
Yeah, I'm
be
not good at
opened
maths.
in. So this is planned to be opened in 2024, right?
Correct. Yes,
So that's not that long. So we are currently like end of 2021. um,
that's true.
yeah.
And
So they mean,
I don't know. I don't know how they are like sort of built, because basically an AWS region means a data center, right? So they'll be basically just building a data center from scratch, and with the with the pandemic and everything, I have no idea how they would build it so fast by
yeah,
2024. But yeah, it's a good, I think, target for them to sort of have at the end of the day. So if
that
he
level of
exactly AWS regions list.
yeah. Let's go into that. I mean, we need to recap that as well to sort
Exactly.
of
So
appreciate what they have.
exactly. So let's sort of see what they have currently. I think there was one with a map on it. Um, let's see. Yes. So these are the regions in North America. So what they are actually introducing now is a bunch of stuff in Australia, India, Indonesia, Israel, Spain, Switzerland, and the UAE. So it's basically in Europe and Asia.
Asia. Yeah, I
So
think more focus on Asia in this segment. I
exactly,
mean, it's
exactly.
it's very less regions, right? In Asia, can you see the Asian region? Just we refer that.
Exactly. So if you see the Asian regions, it's pretty obvious that we do have a region in India, but it's obvious that a bunch of regions around this area is actually lacking. So I guess that's
The
what the
Singapore.
Indonesian, yeah, we have the Singapore region as well, and an Indonesian region would definitely boost this up. That's true. And they'll also have a bunch in New Zealand as well. I think this also sort of adds to their goal. I mean, at the end of the day, what a company or what an engineer basically wants is for their product or for their payload to reach the customer or the client as soon as possible, right?
soon as possible.
So
Yeah, the lowest latency is needed.
exactly. I mean, we have the sort of cache insights. So we have the CloudFront nodes, but I think this includes the CloudFront nodes. The CloudFront nodes are in uh, yeah, edge networks are in blue. So we have the edge locations here, but at the end of the day, an edge location would only be beneficial if you want to serve static content, right? And if you want to
Yeah.
actually communicate with your server and stuff, you have to sort of have a very low sort of latency between your front end and your server. By front end, what I mean is a mobile app or a browser app or a desktop app even, plus sort of cloud-based backend. So I think this is really a great sort of addition. This would mean much better sort of response times to people living in around the Melbourne area, as well as New Zealand, as well as Indonesia. And I think there was one in India, and this is in Hyderabad, India.
It's coming up,
So
right? So India, I think
yes,
currently has the Mumbai one.
they have the Mumbai one.
Um,
Yes, that's true.
yeah.
So if we scroll down, we have we have one in Mumbai, and we have currently one in Sydney for Australia. So I believe it's the Sydney data center that serves the New Zealand traffic as well as the traffic for the rest of Australia. So I think with a new data center in Melbourne, as well as a dedicated one for New Zealand, they'll be able to sort of reduce the load on that other data center as well.
Yeah. And also,
So
I think there can be some physical particular advantage having into separate countries and
exactly,
like yeah, these volcanoes and
disaster
there can be
management.
a natural disaster. Yeah. But
Oh
I think
yeah,
New Zealand is always having sort of earthquakes and volcanoes and stuff like that usually. But yeah, maybe it's just for just for backup. Maybe for Australia and New Zealand to be together, like
that's
sync
true.
together in the future. Yeah.
That's true. And also, I think they have this economic impact. So they have a $7.5 billion New Zealand dollar investment, which is roughly translates to 5.3 billion US dollars. It'll create 1,000 new jobs, and it'll have an estimated economic impact of 7.7 billion US dollars over the next 15 years. So I think that's superb.
Yeah,
Um,
and then when you see these numbers, it's sort of very like economical impact we usually don't see, right? When we
mhm.
develop something or like code on the AWS, we don't see how much impactful this is. So it's going to get 1,000 new jobs and sort of like it's a huge
Exactly.
thing. I mean, economically, even though we don't see as day-to-day engineers. Um, yeah.
So,
So
other AWS infrastructure includes a pair of Amazon CloudFront edge locations in Auckland. So they'll have an edge location in New Zealand as well, along with access to the AWS global backbone through multiple redundant submarine cables. Okay, wow, that is awesome. I think so. AWS will have their own redundant submarine cables. I'm thinking
yeah,
of like the situation in Sri Lanka. All the internet goes through just one submarine cable.
yeah. Um, yeah, I mean that's the power of I think the network provider, right? No, not the network provider, like the infrastructure provider now, because they
Exactly.
run everything. Like, we can even discuss energy. Like energy is a huge thing, and for example, these are going all like cloud based, sorry, green energy, then sustainable energy, sort of, and they are
That's
also manufacturing their own energy. So if you just
That's kind of true. So, I mean, I guess we can. This is a very good sort of transition to our next topic, which is
oh yeah,
um, green principles of software engineering, and basically like how you can actually build a sort of greener sort of software application. I think one of the core functions of this is, as and when you build a cloud-based software, to select always a green sort of energy provider, right? Sorry,
yeah,
a green cloud service
principles, sort of,
provider.
yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, they mean this green concept in like software development sort of has software engineering so has coming a long way right now. So it's been in the talks for some time now. So people are moving towards what do you call green energy. So this move is always going up now. I mean, there are countries always like saying 2030, Vision 2030, things like that, Vision 2050, getting carbon neutral. So this is also a much needed change in the software engineering domain. So we didn't see this like much happening, even though we thought it's going to like sort of impact in our day-to-day work, but it's still a progressing subject. I mean, this article is written by I think Microsoft Green Cloud Advocacy Lead, so Asim Hussain.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
I think yeah, so they are also moving to that direction. Means there's some sort of a major, what do you call, good things are coming in the future. So I mean the
Exactly.
big corporations are moving towards this area.
Exactly. But
And
I think at the end of the day, like, I mean, if you sort of read through this, so for example, let's just go to the TLDR, the summary here. So the first thing is build applications that are carbon efficient, build applications that are energy efficient, consume electricity with the lowest carbon intensity, build applications that are hardware efficient, maximize the energy efficiency of hardware, reduce the amount of data and distance it must travel across a network, and build carbon aware applications. And also the last one, focus on step-by-step optimizations that increase the overall carbon efficiency. So I think some of these are, like, I mean, being software engineers, some of these are sort of within the control of software engineers as a whole, and the rest of it probably we can offload onto the infrastructure providers. So for example, um, maximize the energy efficiency of hardware. So, I mean, that's basically something that AWS and the other cloud service providers can actually handle. Reduce the amount of data and distance it must travel across the network. So this is sort of on us as well, but the
yeah,
distance it
response
must
bodies.
travel, exactly. But the distance it must travel is something that can be sort of handled by cloud service providers as well, and consume electricity with the lowest carbon intensity. This is also something that I think the cloud service providers are very passionate about, because I know that AWS and all these other guys, Google, Azure, have their own sort of power farms, wind power farms, solar energy farms, and stuff like that. So I think at the end of the day, if you are, I mean, stuff like max build applications that are hardware efficient
Yeah,
and reduce the amount of data, build applications that are energy efficient. So this is basically like, improving the time complexity, improving the space
yeah,
complexity, making sure that your application actually works properly and is very performant. I mean, these are just byproducts, I think, of being a really good engineer. So at the end of the day, if you do good engineering, I'm pretty sure that this sort of you can easily achieve building a green software sort of product.
exactly. Yeah, I think most of the, I mean, like most, let's say, the input and outputs we can control, as in like we are sending data out to the client and we are getting responses back from the client. So these two we can highly do some efficiency, and again, uh, on the hardware level we can optimize our code to sort of run faster and sort of use less computation time. So I think
Exactly.
yeah, it's super interesting, right? I mean, earlier we like we learn, when we learn, like, let's say, programming principles and things like that, we learn the efficiency part, but then when it comes to the green part, we it's all connected together.
Exactly. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. That's
so
true.
it's like that. Yeah.
That is quite true.
um
Yes.
yeah,
So also, I think one thing we can do is we can actually check some of these stuff. So for example, um, consume electricity with the lowest carbon intensity. So for example, AWS has a bunch of solar farms, I think.
yeah, I think they have some greenhouse, right? Like AWS has its own green regions.
Correct. Yeah. So
They mean, okay, yeah, you're right.
here you go. So they have a bunch in Europe, they have in the US, in Australia, and in a bunch of other places as well. So they
So
have a
these are
solar
their
farm in Singapore.
solar farms, yeah,
Exactly.
sort
And
of
I think
energy generation.
these are sort of like interconnected with the regions as well. So
Yeah,
for
because it's powering
example,
their regions.
exactly. So you have something in US West, you have in US East as well a bunch. You have in Central US. You have a bunch in. You have a few in Australia. Yep. So this is they have a wind farm in Victoria, and they have two more sort of solar farms in New South Wales as well. So these are probably like for their regions as well. And I believe with the new sort of regions coming up for New Zealand and Indonesia, and also India, I think that they will probably push for more sort of clean energy generators in these other regions as well.
Yeah, I mean, then have you seen this green web host? What do you call, green host website, which they label, okay, this website is green or not. So just have a look at the Green Web Foundation. So it's for Green Web Foundation, I guess. Uh,
Okay, the Green Web Foundation.
Yeah, that one. So there, I think they have a list of all the sort of greenhouse that's using sustainable energy, sort of uh, efficient. So if you put a website like google.com, you would see it's highly sort of green. And there are like similar website called website carbon calculator, where you can see what's the carbon footprint of the website or something like that, like a estimate on that. So I mean, this is not a much new concept, but I'm trying to like say here. So
Mm-hmm.
these sites have been like there for some time now, but I think people are more focused now because of the entire like what do you call climate change that impact. So yeah, you can see here clearly like what's the carbon what do you call footprint of this website and how much this web is cleaner than the rest of uh, the other sides. So there are multiple factors. I think this affects again like how we are measuring this, how we are going to sort of capture. Okay, this is saving one tree, something like that, like per year. Yeah, it's a per year, right?
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah.
so
Yes.
yeah, so there are a lot of initiatives in this direction. I mean, I'm also like much interested in to see like what's going to be like the way forward. I mean, in the future, what could be the, the way they are like which like up to which level can we go. I mean, if every host becomes green, then that's a huge, massive impact on the global cloud, like the infrastructure level. Um,
That's quite true. Yeah.
but there are still like there are even AWS still they have so many regions which are not green. So Singapore, for example. So there are like things like that. Again, example for example, we are talking about the big players like Google. So we can't left Google, leave Google out. So Google is in a huge mission on like making 2030, I think, carbon neutral, or is it carbon or carbon negative, right? Just say Google 2030. Um, what does it say? I think it's
I have
sustainability dot
seen.
Google. Yeah,
Yeah.
carbon free by 2030. So yeah, they are neutral since 2007. So they are
So this is
offsetting their
actually a
carbon.
very old concept, if you consider it.
Yeah, yeah, but now it's getting more attention because people have realized, okay, now it's high time. We can't let more things go into this what do you call it, negative paths. um,
That's
yeah,
true.
so
I think
again,
I
Google
think
Cloud.
that this is sort of pretty recent for Microsoft as well to sort of have green cloud sort of this
Concepts,
focus
yeah, yeah,
on
yeah.
green cloud. So, for example, Microsoft carbon neutral. They will be carbon negative by 2030. Oh wow, okay. Um,
Yeah, that's
yeah, so they only launched it 1 year back. So according to
so
this,
yeah,
if you
people
check,
are like, I mean, since all the major players are going into that direction, obviously all the others as well, like uh, let's say other companies who are using this service are automatically converted to this area.
that's true.
So
That's true.
I think the largest what do you call largest provider is AWS, right? Out of all the like these three, AWS, Microsoft, Google. If we consider these three, I think AWS has the largest share. So if they make everything green in their ecosystem, that's massive for the internet and the world.
hmm
Um,
So if you
yeah, I
take
think
AWS, what was the URL? AWS
.amazon.com.
dot is it aws.amazon.com?
I
Yeah, it
guess
is.
so.
It
Either
is.
you mean the homepage, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the homepage. So if you just take that and just check it on here, let's see.
Yeah, again, I mean, I'm always having this like, I mean, it's a negative thought. So, but uh, we always have the like the two way of everything. Like, let's say, how are we calculating this? Is it the client's computer who's like, I mean, the end user who's going to pay the carbon, what do you call carbon emission? So my computer is heating up right now. So it's emitting something, right? So if we offload all the application into the client browser, again, what's the calculation there? Um,
Oops.
Oops, that's sad. Just try Amazon.com. I think they have hosted that green. I feel. Yeah, again, Damon, this depends on the region you are connecting from. So if it's going through a CDN, it would connect to the closest server, right?
Hmm.
That's
That's
some
true.
issue. Yeah.
No.
So if you have CloudFront,
Even
oh no,
Amazon.com is bad.
uh, it's the host green. So that's what I want to see. I just see the Green Web Foundation site and see.
Let's see. Green Web Foundation.
So that has
Yeah,
like
I mean
list
the website might be pretty unperformant.
bulky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the host might actually be green. That's true. So
Yeah, the
AWS
same
or
for
Amazon,
Microsoft, I
like,
guess, right?
exactly, yeah. Ooh,
Oops.
AWS is not green, but let's check
What did you say? Just
Amazon.com.
Amazon.com. Yeah.
Nope.
Oops. Amazon.com. Oh, why is it happening? You earlier did Google, right? It's full green. That's scary.
Google.
I think you did Google earlier.
Yep, Google is green. Google
Yeah.
Cloud is cloud.google.com, right?
Yeah.
And that is
Maybe.
also green.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Google is more green. I mean, like that's my gut feeling. uh, because they
Probably.
sort of promote this much like rather than the other guys. So
And I'm
uh,
sure that they've been doing it for a long time as well.
long time, yeah, yeah. Because they had this like they have a, like it's a I think a core principle of them like going green in the future. Like we
Hmm.
like they are already green enough based on the other competitors. Check Facebook.com maybe just how it's happening.
Facebook.com. I'm pretty sure this is not green. Oh, wow, that is green.
That's green.
Okay. The website is
So
hosted green, yes. Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Kudos.
Not the content maybe. Yeah, kudos for that. So
Not the website, but yeah.
yeah,
The host is
just
green.
imagine the impact of like millions of users using Facebook.com. So they don't know it's greenly hosted, but if that's correct, like this, the information is accurate, that's a good thing, right?
That's
As
true.
an engineer, we know, okay, we have some peace of mind. So that's basically when we are hosting, we need to select a green region. um, yeah. Oh yeah, I think we talked a lot in this topic now.
Exactly.
uh,
So this is um, maybe let me just check if Amazon is live. It is live. Okay. In that case, just go back. Maybe I put my local one here.
HTTPS.
No, it's not detecting for some reason that the website belongs is hosted on Amazon.
Yeah, I think yeah something is wrong there. Huh? But
There is
recently
something
we
wrong.
hosted a website on AWS. What's the region? I think it's US East one, and like directly came as green since it
It
was
should be. It
hosted
should
there.
be. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that the US East one is built on, like, green stuff.
yeah.
The
So
next, we can sort of move on to the next topic, which is, I think this is something that you also got a bit of experience in, which is
yeah,
the recent security issue that we had in Let's Encrypt.
yeah.
So yeah,
It's more like a yeah. It's both like people knew that's going to happen, but no one did anything about it. So I'm in that boat as well. So. Uh, so this is mainly the root certificate of Let's Encrypt. So they had the root certificate. I think it's called uh, what's that called? It's let's encrypt uh, CA-X3, right? So X3 that was set to expire on September 30th, and it got expired. And what happened actually is the root certificate was able to support all the clients, like let's say Windows XP, Windows 7, old Android versions. So it supported all of the old stuff. But then when it expired, they renewed it to the latest version, which is I think they have renewed it to 2035, and it's called Root X1, and which is going to stay till 2035. So it's a huge time period. But now what happens is all the people who have used that same script is not being like not able to support all the clients like XP and Windows 7. So that's the key issue. Um, so yeah, Damien, what do you think about this case?
true.
I
So
mean, it might not affect like all the developed countries sort of thing. Let's say they might not have Windows XP, but for example, Asian region, we still like they still have Windows XP. Windows 7 is like not that old for them, right? It's a 10-year gap though, but it's still there. Um,
that's true. So I think with this, so my issue, I mean, the fundamental reason this happened is that root certificates are basically shipped with the operating system, right? So
yeah,
once you stop receiving OS updates, you're basically screwed. So
yeah,
whenever a root certificate expires, because it will expire, whenever a root certificate expires, basically that operating system will become unusable, and sooner or later, all the root certificates that that the operating system, that outdated version of that operating system has, will probably expire. So I think the main reason here is that a lot of devices don't actually get sort of LTE versions. So basically, like
Yeah.
if you take Android, if you take a Samsung phone that was released maybe 5 years ago, that probably won't get the latest update of Android. And with that update, you probably would not get the latest root certificates shipped with that update as well. So it's
Yeah.
bound to happen always. And I think I saw somewhere that this happened
Yeah.
last
This is
year.
not the this is not the first case, right?
Yeah,
Then I think there was So is it Stripe? Yeah,
Stripe
Stripe
had an
first
issue
external
back in
CA.
May.
Yeah.
So
So
they were using this guy. Yeah, and if this guy sort of expires, then again you're screwed as well. So I think
um
at the end of the day, the main issue. I mean, Firefox does a good job. I think I read somewhere here that um,
they sort of support all the versions, or like they
no. So
upgrade. Yeah.
Firefox is currently unique among browsers because it ships with its own list of trusted root certificates. So
All right. Yeah.
Firefox doesn't depend on the operating system root certificates. It has its own
Mhm.
list of root certificates, and so it always keeps it updated. I think that's a good system. I think that's a good workaround that even Chrome and the other stuff should also sort
Yeah.
of implement.
Try to do right. Adapt. Maybe it's
Exactly,
it might add some bulk, but I think it's useful in the long run.
exactly,
And
exactly.
and the issue with SSL certificates is sometimes you can't sort of figure out it directly. I mean, somewhere. So this quote is very nice. At least something somewhere is going to break. So
Oh yeah,
uh, it's like we are not going to get a direct alert. It might just fail, and for the client side, right? We are not going to get an alert at that point if it's
exactly. It's
failing or
because
not.
this will fail on a specified date at a specified time. It's like
Time
the
and on a
it's like the
specified
millennium
time, right?
bug on a
Yeah.
specific time. It's like the
Yeah.
millennium bug in that way. So
Timestamp sort of.
yeah.
um,
So
so
if yeah, I mean my main issue here is that I mean being in the 21st century, being like we have such a lot of technology, we have blockchains and we have all this other stuff, but we still need to like the fundamental part of internet security is a root certificate, and we still need to ship that physically into each and every phone and each and every device, not only a phone, even a laptop or any sort of device that can access the internet. We need to ship it within the operating system. I mean, there should be a
mhm.
different way to actually do this, I believe.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, let's just talk a minute about Let's Encrypt. I mean, it's so huge. I think how many users they have. So Let's Encrypt it's a non like free to use software, right? It's a free to use certificate manager, and it's funded by large organizations like Google Cloud. I think Facebook. All the big players they are funded, like they're supporting Let's Encrypt. So if you go to the website, you can see. And here they have mentioned uh, they have been used like, I mean, it's a massive uh, organization now. I think it's 250 million active website, right? I think they have given, I saw somewhere 2 billion. Is it correct? Let me just see.
260 million websites.
Yeah, I mean, they have issued from 2014 large number of like certificates. Yeah, so they have issued 2 billion certificates since 2014 until uh, September. So imagine the number, like the impact it's having on the global like infrastructure level. So if we,
Hmm.
I mean, for sure, like if you start a VM or something, like you just get Let's Encrypt, right? You don't go and buy a separate certificate right now at this
No.
stage,
No, I
unless it's
think.
super critical. Like if it's a financial level application, you might have to get like PCI DSS, like all this validation, EV level set SSL.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
if you are just doing a project, even for like a large scale mobile application or something like that, we just use our like Let's Encrypt or
Probably just
AWS
let's
issued. Yeah,
encrypt. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
that's true. Because it's really simple and it's easy to renew it as well.
yeah,
It might be short term. It might only last for I think 3 or 6 months, right?
yeah,
But
yeah. So
uh,
I think
but
it's
uh,
renewing automatically, I guess.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
we
if you
had
set up the
but
bot, if you put
yeah,
set bot, it will renew automatically.
renew itself. Yeah.
So I think let's see, certificate assurance. Hmm,
Yes.
can't find it. Anyway, yeah,
So yeah,
that's sort
I
of.
mean, yeah. So this is a breaking news as well. I mean, major like sites were also affected. Some of like big sites. I saw. Is it? Uh, yeah, I saw
I
some
think
major sites were affected in this scenario as well. I mean, it's
this.
affected as in. the client base is going to be like affected, not the server side or anything. It's the end users who are going to face this issue because it's a client side thing, validation. Um,
And it's not like being software engineers, we don't really run tests on old clients, right? Stuff from 10 years
yeah,
ago.
sometimes we can't find a device to run the Windows XP, for
Exactly.
example. Like
It's
it's
not
very hard to.
scalable actually testing for stuff like that, such old stuff.
Yeah,
So
I think
at the end of the
Android is
day,
having,
yeah.
with the number of versions it has, it's very hard to like, okay, up to which level are we supposed to go? Okay, that will run on, let's say, version 7, but are we going to go and test 7 and 7.1, 7.2 like that?
So the issue with
So
Android
it's,
is actually that there's a lot of flavors of Android as well, because you have your version of Android which will run on a Pixel or something like that, but
yeah,
then you have the versions of Android on which there are like skins and stuff that Samsung and all these other guys have put, and you have to sort of test on those as well because their browsers are different. It's a headache, I think, at the end of the day. So
yeah.
I think more or less people just they would probably just test on one device. If it works, okay, it will probably work for all the rest, and they'll
Yeah.
just forget
And the
about it,
issues
I
will
think.
come in the in the run, like let's say we'll
Exactly.
get.
So I think it's pretty normal not to spend so much time, sort of testing on all of these devices, because normally what I have seen is if you so you would normally certify a website for a bunch of browsers. You would certify it for maybe Chrome, Firefox, Opera, Edge, and stuff like that. And if and you would normally have some sort of a JavaScript code or something like that running on the front end to check the version of the browser and what exact browser you're using. And if it detects a browser out of that list, it'll just show a sort of pop up saying, okay, look here, we haven't tested our website on this. For the most stable sort of experience, download this guy, this guy, this guy, or this
Yeah,
guy.
yeah, yeah,
And that's
yeah.
sort of what we do, right? Because we can't sort of certify
Do
all
for
the
everything. Yeah,
devices
yeah.
all the time.
It's,
Yeah.
um, yeah. All right, then. I think yeah, this was like an interesting. I mean, news article was interesting, and also it affected a bit for us. So yeah,
Exactly.
let's see how it goes in the future.
So I think we can move on to our next sort of topic, which is decentralizing the internet's root. So this is sort
Oh,
of just a sort of TLDR, sort of an overview of what this says. So right now, if you know about domain name searches and stuff like that, so basically how you translate a domain name into an IP address and sort of locate the server that it goes to, it's all sort of managed by these root DNS servers, right? So, and those root DNS servers are actually managed by an organization called ICANN. So if you sort of want to create your own top level domain, something like .com, so you want to create something like .thecloudchat or .chamat or .damien, you would probably have to pay a huge amount and sort of register it with ICANN and go through their entire sort of process before they actually register that TLD in their root domain service, root name service, sorry.
name
And
servers. Yeah,
and at the end of the day, what will happen is what basically happens is, although we say that the internet is decentralized, the access point to the internet is actually centralized. So all of us at some point in time, we need to sort of look up a DNS record via the root servers. I mean, yes, we might have, so for example, you might connect to your ISP, you might connect to Google DNS, Cloudflare DNS, or your ISP's DNS addresses, and they might have cached the records that are on the root DNS servers. But at the end of the day, you're still reusing the record that is in the root DNS server, right? So I think that is sort of what these guys are trying to sort of solve here. So they want to decentralize it, and they want to remove this guy called ICANN here and sort of distribute it out. So basically this is their pitch. So they say, why rent a sort of subdomain when you can actually own the top level domain here?
yeah,
That is sort of their pitch here. So Chamat, what do you think?
yeah. It's both interesting and like I'm not sure of the way forward. I mean, this is a huge change, right? In terms of okay, it's one way to look at, okay, we can have our own top level domain. That's a good thing. But again, when it comes to scaling up, this what you call proposal, like proposed method, does everyone will get the same chance as like, okay, should all my clients use that name server record? Like how am I going to access that? So that's going to be my thought process. Like how long will it take? And like if all the big guys, like big players, are going to adapt this system, it's going to be fine. But again, it's all about, I think, bit of politics as well in terms of who's going to manage the internet in the end. So yeah.
Exactly. I mean,
um
ICANN has very sort of strict policies. I mean, once I saw something where it was a video on YouTube, I think. It was about regenerating the root SSL certificate for the root DNS service. And this is
no.
something that they do every couple of years, or it's either annually or every couple of years. But it's a super sort of very secure process. They bring a bunch of people, like 13 or something people from around the world, and each of those people have a key card. And if you only have two key cards, or I don't know, you have to have some number of key cards, and only if you verify that, only can you reset the sort of root certificate and stuff like that. So I mean,
So
it,
it's
it is a
highly
very sort of
linked.
it exactly, it's a very secure process. It is very tightly sort of managed, I think. I mean, I guess you can sort of see it also. I mean, you can if you watch this video, you would understand the sort of the impact of ICANN, what ICANN has on the
Yeah, that's
entire
sort of the power.
the entire internet. So ICANN key holders, here you go. So it's 7 people actually. So meet the 7 people who hold the keys to worldwide internet security. So it's basically 7 people. You would have sort of a key here, and this is sort of the thing that
Yeah, can you zoom in a little bit? Just
yeah, here you go.
oh yeah.
So this is sort of, let's see, I believe they reset the sort of
The
the
key
root
is
key,
yeah.
the SSL key. Yes. So here you go. They have the saves. It's a huge process. It's not even open to the public. The way, when, and how they do this. So
How to become a keyhole? That's my question.
I think it's randomly. It's they just choose you randomly based on, like, if you're a leader in your sort of industry, they just choose you.
Mhm. Are there names given in this list or no?
There, I mean, the key holders are actually public, I think. So I mean,
Ah. So that's dangerous, no? In terms of, but I mean, like no one might know where it's happened.
let's
Like it's like
see.
a Mission Impossible, like a mission. Ah,
Let's see. I don't really remember this thing, but there's an awesome video. Basically, that, I mean, there are some stuff where, like, even if you drop the key, it would sort of self-destruct and stuff like that. So
I see.
Um, so here, the high security machine that will generate the master key is set up. Once activated by the smart cards, this will produce a lengthy cryptographic code. If dropped or even knocked too hard, the machine will self-destruct.
I see.
I mean, it's so awesome. And they sort of generate the root certificates here and the root zone. And I mean, these are the sort of stuff that I watch when I have sort of insomnia and I can't sleep and I want to know
Yeah.
what happens.
Who owns the internet? Something like that.
Exactly. I mean, these are sort of stuff that yeah, here you go. Hold on. So VeriSign, the security company that administers the root zone of the domain name system, steps forward to read out a nonsense sequence of codes generated by the previous key. The sequence corresponds with the witness's notes, so they nod and sign the script. A short line of code is typed into the computer, and seconds later, the new key is signed. After a 20-minute sequence of disconnecting secure machines and powering down the laptop, a USB stick is handed to this guy. He makes a slight bow, and he holds a signed digital key, and he transmits the key on a secure channel to VeriSign, and this signed key will be made live across the internet. It will take effect for 3 months. After that, the key will expire, and error messages will start to appear on the internet.
So every 3 months we have to renew that, right? Is it?
I'm not sure, because I saw this as they need to do this every couple of years, but maybe it's, I don't know. I watched this
Yeah, yeah.
video a really long time back, but maybe it's
Ah,
every 3
yeah.
months.
So
But
yeah, so the project which we're discussing, so that's going to go in the opposite direction. So
that is
that's a good
going
thing
the
in a way,
entire.
right?
I
Entire opposite
mean,
direction. No
so
one owns it.
no one owns it. I mean, I guess it will
Everyone owns it.
technically be
Yeah.
secure because it will be on the blockchain. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I do sometimes get sort of anxious when I know that, okay, if somebody just goes and does a fast and furious thing and just steals the keys from 7 people, and they reset the internet.
Like a James Bond mission.
Yeah, and then the internet will be sort of fucked. You can just
Yeah.
easily fuck up the entire internet on that. So I think what
Um,
Handshake is trying to do is basically this is something like what the Tor browser also does, Onion websites. So they have their own sort of name servers, and you can basically register your own domains on top of those. So what Handshake is trying to do, and also Namebase, is they have all their name server records and their domain records on a blockchain, and they have their own DNS servers as well. And those DNS servers basically do a lookup, a query on the blockchain, and then return the record of what exact server IP address that you need to go to. But what do you think about that part, Chamath, where they have to actually do a lookup on a blockchain?
I mean, well, as far as according to my knowledge, it's a bit of expensive thing to sort of having blockchain, let's say, in this massive scale, right? Let's say uh, 1 billion of records, because we can do any name, right? So it's anyone's name can be on the TLD. So imagine it's going to be 1 billion records, and it's going to be, let's say, 10 GB on the on a node. So I'm not sure how to sort of balance that. So who's going to manage that data? Is it every client has to download the dump every record which exists, and then that maps to the DNS record? I'm not clear on that part, because how to scale this up is the issue. Again, someone might have to come and sort of, okay, I'm going to handle the data. You put data to me. Then again, it's going to get centralized. So that's scary.
So
I'm
here
not really sure how.
it says that Handshake itself is responsible for putting that data and retrieving it. So I think it is centralized to Handshake.
Yeah, so
Um,
handshake is the protocol which, like, yeah.
is the
So
protocol, yeah.
someone needs to have the sort of I mean, it's again not having like the physical key, but someone would have to have the record system, right? Owned by them.
Mm-hmm.
So ideally, if they can sort of, if they're making it true decentralized, it should go to all the clients in the system, in the network. If not, let's say 10% of the clients own the data, something like that. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, which can't be tampered. So let's say if I have my own copy, I tamper my record with your record or something like that. So if whoever goes to your website goes to my site. So who's going to handle that sort of security mechanism? Because currently ICANN is sort of trusted because they are doing the job. I mean, like, security side.
They've been doing
Uh,
it from the start.
yeah, from the start. So again, if the new like a protocol or something, let's say, okay, it's blockchain, we know it's secure, things like that. But again, when we are scaling up, the issues might come. So I'm not actually like having a good thought yet. But I
Mm-hmm.
saw Namecheap has already started, right, with the handshake one domain, something like that. Namecheap,
Yeah, I think the domain P, I think. So if you go to
domain P, yeah, yeah.
namecheap.com,
So if like big players like
so something
Namecheap,
like,
I don't know, like GoDaddy, everyone starts getting on board, then let's say Google DNS might have to adapt handshake as well, like as a part of their system, so I can and handshake together. But
yeah,
that's going to be massive in terms of yeah. So that's a handshake domain.
this is a handshake domain here. So the domain called .p actually lives on the sort of handshake blockchain, right?
So to use that domain, what should we do? I think we need to use their DNS, right? Use Namecheap DNS. It is like
Yes, you would either need to use the Namecheap DNS or you would need to have the handshake DNS
DNS address.
instead of your DNS server. So like I mean, usually what we do is we have Cloudflare or Google or something like that DNS,
Yeah.
but here
Or ISP is like
exactly your ISP is DNS, but here you would need to actually set these DNS addresses to your device, and then what that'll do is it'll go to their server and they'll do a lookup on the blockchain, and after that they'll return the server IP to you. So but
yeah.
I have another issue here, which is the blockchain itself. I mean, as far as I know, and I think you can confirm this as well, it's very expensive to do a query on the blockchain, right?
Yeah, I mean, write operations and read operations have some sort of complexity, and when it's become larger and larger, it's going to have some effect. Again, for example, if we get like the largest blockchain, I think Bitcoin, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to add a new block, I think it's going to have some like time, sort of. It needs some time to add a new block to the blockchain. So check if the time to add the new block to Bitcoin. So I think it's around 10 minutes, I guess, to add the new record.
Yeah,
So
approximately
imagine
10 minutes.
10 minutes, yeah. So it's going to be computationally inefficient sometimes, but read operations, I think they can optimize like cache in the middle, somewhere else and like keep it like without querying the blockchain every time a request comes in. So if not, it's going to be super expensive again. Yeah.
So okay,
So it's
here
all
is
plus
an,
and minuses.
but here's one thing that they say. So on average, it takes about 10 minutes to find each block,
Yeah.
and the
So if you're
average
doing it
block
like a
time.
search query, because
Yeah.
like when you are appending into the end of the blockchain, you have to find the, I mean, like you have to verify the previous blocks as well. So where if it has breaked or not, right? If it's a real record, you have to verify that the signature. Um, so
So
yeah, again, I mean, I think it's
search.
all about the scaling up of this concept.
Hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Um,
So I still don't. Okay, so here I have another problem with this, and it's that people try to add blockchain to everything. I mean, isn't there a better way to do this rather than having a? I mean, because if you take like say if ICANN goes out of business and this like in the this might be not plausible, but if these guys if handshake becomes the de facto standard for DNS queries in the future, that means all the ISPs and everybody will just need to have a copy of the entire blockchain, and
yeah,
with the ability to create domains, I mean it'll be, I mean the records would be enormous, because right now there are only I think 8 DNS servers, root DNS servers in the world, and it's because of
in the
that
world, yeah,
also that ICANN also manages and sort of um,
yeah,
maintains all of those, and is sort of like a gatekeeper there. But
yeah.
if Handshake ever does become scalable enough to actually take over and put ICANN out of business, I mean I have no idea how this would
Yeah.
how this would actually scale up to that level, at least.
Yeah, so I just did a quick Google and it says like that. I think these are the TLDs, right? 7,240 domain names. So those are like the TLDs right now. So imagine everyone has, let's say, a million, million of that, and it's huge. The number is going to be super huge in terms of what they're going to have.
So as of March 2021, the ICANN IANA root database included 1,589 TLDs.
Oh, okay.
Um, so that includes
That's pretty.
68 that are not assigned, 8 that are retired, and 11 test domains.
Yeah, it says 1,500. Sorry, I think that's a different article I was referring to. Yeah, 1,500 domains exist today. Yeah, yeah. So if let's say assume everyone has a million subscribers, or sorry, something happened.
That's fine, I
So
think. Yeah,
yeah, so if every TLD has 1 million records, 1 million domains, and each record has, let's say, five DNS records in them. So
subdomains.
subdomains and like the records, A record, C name records,
Ah,
every type
okay.
of record.
Okay.
It's going to be massive
But
in terms of,
but I think that is kind of fine because those are actually on the name server. So
yeah, but yeah, but
it's
the
only the
blockchain is going to store the
I
ownership,
think
right?
I think the blockchain will only store the ownership for the top level domain here,
Oh yeah,
because what
yeah,
what
that's
happens
so true.
is you have the TLD, you have .com, and if they say okay, there's something called .com, IANA and ICANN only maintains the server record for .com, and that
Yeah,
points it to
yeah,
the
yeah,
.com server, and then .com will have the registry for the other domains that will point it to the name server of that domain, and if it's a subdomain, it will go on and on and on until you get the actual
yeah.
thing
So
there.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But I mean,
yeah. I
this
mean,
could just boost up because people won't have to create subdomains anymore. They can just create TLDs.
yeah, yeah. It's going to be million. So let's say a billion TLDs, not something like that. So if everyone
Exactly.
can create its own, yeah.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, this is a interesting subject. So
Kind of
shall we?
interesting.
Yeah, did we cover this one? I think we did a
Yes.
long run on this, no? I
Exactly.
mean,
So
our,
we
our topics are very interesting since we tend to spend more time and we sometimes lose track how much
exactly.
time we are going to spend.
And recently, WhatsApp enabled multi-device capabilities, and I think this is a
Yeah,
sort of next article here. So this is posted in July 2021, and it's basically a TLDR on this, a summary on this is that WhatsApp. I mean, so far WhatsApp only allows you to use WhatsApp web or WhatsApp desktop if you have your phone connected to the internet. But
yeah,
now, although you still need a phone number, you still need a mobile number. You can use WhatsApp on other devices like browsers or desktops or device, any other sort of device with an internet connection, without actually requiring your smartphone to be connected to the internet. And I think this is super awesome. But Yeah, they announced the limited public beta test, and I think I signed up for this as well. But yeah, so what do you think about
So
this, Chamat?
yeah, they mean so. I mean, we all tend to use WhatsApp web, right? Because we are always in the computer, but so we always tend to use WhatsApp. So the key issue I'm having always is uh, the web is temporary, right? It just if we close, so like if we don't have the phone, we don't have WhatsApp anymore. If we turn off the phone, if the battery dies, that's it. So this is going to be like a good solution for most of the people. But again, like if you look at the architecture they have currently, so the WhatsApp web connects to the phone connects to the cloud, then cloud connects to the other sides of the what do you call the connection. So
Hmm.
it's going to sort of like a push, right? It's not going to store anything across because otherwise it could have connected to the cloud directly and get the data. So
Exactly.
again, Damien, I'm thinking about the security aspect here because WhatsApp is always like focused on end-to-end encryption, things like that. But still, if they're going to store the data, let's say they're going to store our chat messages like in their system for a longer time. So currently they store it for a short time, as I guess, I assume,
Hmm. Yeah, that's true.
because it was being pushed. So yeah, just show the new architecture, what it looks like. So yeah, my personal thought is it's interesting, but again, I might not be a fan of this architecture, the second architecture, because of that cloud connection. Because we
It's the
already have
same.
like Messenger,
Same,
Messenger,
yeah. So
Viber, all this. Yeah.
same. So I actually joined the public beta before I read this article on their architecture and how it actually works. So initially, what I thought was that they might be having sort of like a cache on the laptop, and when the phone connects, it'll just sync between the two devices. But right now, according to what I see here, they store all the messages and basically all the content in the cloud itself on their own servers. I mean, yes, they say that it's all encrypted. They have device to device end to end encryption, but at the end of the day, I mean, everything is meant to break, right? It might be impossible right now to break encryption, but someday it will
That's a
be possible. And
quantum
ex-
computing comes in.
yeah, and I mean, it's not just that. Imagine some sort of genius comes along and just develops some sort of algorithm or something to break encryption.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
And they mean
we know that it's not possible, but you
right
know,
now.
right now, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's still a
And
risk.
again, they mean this what do you call the concept name is a bit misleading. So multi-device. So that
Exactly,
goes as okay multi-device. So what's that? It's just basically like something like web application, right? So
exactly.
it's a web like a cloud hosted service. That's it. It's hosting the data
It's
on the
it's not
cloud.
multi-device. It's more like a cloud-based messaging now.
Cloud-based messenger. Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's again a more what do you call positive negative feeling. So if you can see the two arrows, so Alice Web is connected to Alice Bob phone, and then again Alice Web to Alice phone. So there are two-way communication there, but still everything goes through the cloud and come back to the phone.
Exactly,
And again, I'm really like I'm really scared of the scalability of this solution. I mean, Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp, I think the numbers are very large, right? Different should be very large, I guess. I assume. Uh, so the number of like interaction we do with WhatsApp is so rapid, and everyone uses WhatsApp on a daily basis, like and like the messaging is super fast, and it's going to let's say thousands of messages a minute, maybe like even if you say consider a group chat, it's going to be super fast if someone gets put a message or some like
exactly.
it gets super active. And if it goes going through this cycle, I'm again not sure how they're going to scale up. So it's going to again
I
see
mean,
like I mean
so
it's
scaling up
Facebook's
will be
game, right?
pretty expensive, I think. Now, I
Yeah, for
think
Facebook
this
side.
this method sort of increases the infrastructure costs that they have to sort of put into this,
Yeah,
because they have to have more data stores. They have to store your data actually in the cloud. It's crazy.
yeah,
I think
yeah, yeah.
there was something on
And
here.
and one of the like advantage of this, I mean, we need to talk about that as well. So one of the advantage is having a backup version. So let's say a Facebook Messenger, it's not stored in anywhere. Like if we lose our phone or phone gets damaged, we still have Facebook Messenger. But if it happens on a local device, it's just gone. If you don't have a backup on the cloud, like if you have paid for subscription, that's fine. But if not, usually we tend to lose all the data in the let's say WhatsApp, for example,
Exactly. So
SMSs.
there is something that I don't actually understand here, and that is like message history. So it says that when a companion device is linked, the primary device encrypts a bundle of the messages from recent chats and transfers them to the newly linked device The key to this encrypted message history blob is delivered to the neighboring device via an encrypted message. After the companion device downloads, decrypts, unpacks, and stores the message securely, the keys are deleted. From that point forward, the companion device accesses the message history from its own local database. So the thing here is, I don't understand how this happens on WhatsApp web, because they would need to store this in the browser cache, right? Or basically browser storage. And say you have gigabytes worth of message history. It's not feasible to actually transfer that.
No, I feel they mean, let's say it's only get the top 10 messages only or something. I'm like, with this architecture, I'm really not, I'm confused because it's not that clear.
It is not that clear. That's true.
Yeah, again, yeah. So in a phone, we can store like 20 GB of data, but in a laptop computer, it might like mess up the browser, like Chrome storage even. So I just did a quick Google on the numbers. Like WhatsApp is the largest like active users like per month is 2,000 million, and Facebook Messenger is 1,300 million per month. So daily active sort of monthly active users.
WhatsApp is much more active.
Yeah, so it's the highest like one. Then we have WeChat, then QQ, Telegram, Snapchat. So WhatsApp is the number one. And again, the scale is I mean, it's very hard to see how it's going to happen. I mean, like it's going to be massive again to do this much of computation and storage. So for example, my WhatsApp is 20 GB. I'm not sure what's your account. So imagine every one of us has like at least 10 GB, let's assume. So 10 into 2,000 million users.
and say that you have like you have a group chat where people just spam it with videos and images. How is that going to be synced? I mean, it would take a lot of internet just to sync that.
Yeah. I mean, WhatsApp is one of the most stable apps, like we can call it, because it has very low outages, not like Facebook or Messenger. Like it's very minor outages only. Like if something goes wrong, terribly wrong, WhatsApp goes down. So I think that might be.
I think after they moved to Facebook infrastructure and after they moved to their Facebook data centers, whenever there was an outage that included Instagram, Messenger, and stuff like that, you could be sure that WhatsApp also goes down somewhere.
Yeah. So everything is in the same.
Everything is in the same boat.
Yeah.
That's also something that is not really good, and this is sort of a benefit of multi-cloud solutions, right?
Yeah. Again, I mean, this is all I think personal. Preference. So some people might not actually care about, okay, what if Facebook has my data? What if it's stored in the cloud? So I mean, it's all preference, right? But as I mean, if you look from a developer or engineer sort of angle, it's a bit of scalability issue I'm trying to figure out that part. I think it's having like same effect on you as well.
So I'm seeing a lot of issues. I mean, they might have gone in different. I mean, it's not really clear from this article, but they might have gone in different ways. They might be only syncing the latest chats. They might be only they might be storing some of the stuff on their servers as well. But each and every one of these each and every one of these sort of architectures that I can think of, they will have more and more sort of cons and sort of challenges that makes it actually hard to introduce true multi-device capability. Because especially when we consider the fact that we have the WhatsApp web client as well as the WhatsApp the mobile client. I mean, the mobile client is completely fine. They can store, I mean, even 20 GB of data, 50 GB, 100 GB of data without any issue.
Doesn't matter.
Exactly. As long as you have a proper place to back it up, I mean, I think you're completely fine there. But actually maintaining this sort of infrastructure, I mean, maintaining this sort of storage and providing sort of a seamless experience between web and mobile is where I think a lot of challenges will be for them. And because it's still in beta, I think this is still not ready for production. But
I mean, they'll figure out more things in the beta, right? Like,
exactly.
I mean, this might not go forward. This is just like the initial idea for them as well.
I mean, there are some bugs in the beta. So there was one issue where when I tried to open it on a new device, WhatsApp web, it wouldn't sync it properly for some reason between the mobile phone and the web, the messages.
Yeah. So the issue is, I mean, this is a day-to-day. I mean, like we use every day, right? Every single day, every single hour, maybe WhatsApp. So if the experience is going to be bad, people might actually move out. I mean, that's the only thing that's holding WhatsApp up right now at this stage.
Yep, that's true. And I think I think with that
we
we
talked a lot
have.
in this topic as well again.
Yeah, we end up talking quite a lot on
Yeah.
the stuff that we
Hope
like.
we don't
So
bore our viewers.
exactly. So I think we actually have that's sort of it for our topics. And let's see if you guys sort of want to hear us discussing some sort of new topics, or if you want us to discuss architectures and stuff like that on this chat as well. Feel free to anyway. Okay, I think we lost Chamat's
Oh,
video.
sorry for that. I think my
No
my
worries.
camera also said stop.
Probably
Yeah.
overheating issues. But anyway, let's sort of cut to the chase, and I guess we'll see you guys in another episode of the Cloud Chat podcast. Cheers and have a great
All right.
day.
Cheers, guys. See you.